Alright guys, so where we left off last time, we were working on getting the paint booth set up in the garage. I'm still waiting on a few products and a few things that will enable me to build the paint booth in my garage. So for right now, we're just collecting everything and waiting for everything to come in through the mail so we can get the Talon painted before the race season starts. My plan was to get this car painted black, again in the original color, but paint some of the trims and get this looking sweet before we start hitting the racetrack with that. But what we're gonna be doing today, we're gonna be working on the Eclipse, the 2G Eclipse convertible. You guys, the last time we saw you, you saw this car. I had installed the side skirts, and I asked about if I should leave them on or not. I had mixed reviews about taking them off or leaving them on. I like the way they look right now, so for right now we're just gonna leave it on. I'll see how it looks when I get the coilovers on. So we already installed the front lip. The reason I put the side skirts on because I wanted everything to flow nice and along the body lines. So today what we're gonna do, we're gonna be installing Maxpeedingrods coilovers. I said I wanted a nice coilover, which is not gonna break the bank, but be really nice, a nice ride. This car eventually, like I told you guys before, it will eventually be all-wheel drive, and I will try to get a lot of power out of this setup, but I didn't want to go too crazy where spending about $2,000 on a suspension coilover where I'm actually going to be changing out the rear, actually the rear, and I'm going to be adding a rear to it so I can have this car all-wheel drive. And you know, all-wheel drive and front-wheel drive coilovers are different in the rear, so I decided to go with Maxpeeding. All I've heard was great reviews. Haven't heard anything bad. They did come out with a new style and a new type of coilover, which is a lot more user-friendly with the damper and all that stuff. You can set everything on the top here. We'll get more into that after we install, but for right now, the reason why I wanted to get a coilover is because ride height. I wanted to be able to adjust the ride height of the car without having to just change the spring. So I wanted to fill this gap in. This is the front wheel. You can see there's a nice gap in here. So I want to be able to close this gap up a little bit more. And on top of that, my rear struts shocks are blown. So let me see if I can give you guys a little review of this one. You guys can hear that, and when my kids get in the back, they don't weigh barely anything. In this car on this side, the passenger side rear shock, the car comes all the way down to like basically bottoming out and touching the tire. So instead of just replacing one, I decided just to get a coilover set and replace everything so I can get this car sitting nice and have a nice ride. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get this car on some stands. We're gonna start off by replacing the front, and then I'll remove the tires in the back and we'll do the back. Coilovers first. We'll get these unpackaged, and then we'll start jacking up the car and getting everything ready for the install. Okay guys, so this is the coilovers. I already put the front towards the left here. These are the front, the one that has the little, you can say where it sets into the lower control arm. and these are the rear. If you guys watch my other video when I'm installing my coilovers in the 1G, you remember I had a problem taking off the lower bushing off the stock one. I hope I don't have the problem with the same problem that I had in the 1G and the 2G. So cross your fingers, guys. I hope I don't have to go through that. So if you haven't watched that video, just go to the channel and you can see the struggles that I had removing the rear bushing on the rear shock on the Ego Talon. So anyway, they just by looking at them, they look well made. They look really good. Maxpeeding logo over here. Comes with 2 spanner wrenches. And they were well packaged and they look well made. So the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna jack this car up. I'm gonna get the tires removed and then we're gonna start cranking on the front coilovers. New season, gotta bring out the new gloves. So these are my struts that I have in there right now. They're lowering springs with a strut. I mean, they look good with the size. They look good with the drop and everything, but I just want to go down a little bit more. And unfortunately, when you get lowering springs, they are set as is. Whereas a coilover, you can adjust the height of the ride. So it's all good. We have the coilovers. I was gonna change the upper control arm, but they were back ordered and I didn't want to delay this video anymore. So I'm just gonna go on removing the coilover. So you're gonna make sure you want to get these lines out of the way so nothing's torn or ripped. So this little bracket that's holding on this brake line in the front, this is actually a 12 millimeter. Then you have 2 brackets on the back, the one being on the lower part. This is a 10 millimeter, and then the upper part here is another little bracket that's holding on this line. This is another 10 millimeter. And then you got one up here on the upper bracket, and that's a 10 as well. All right, now that we can kind of move these out of the way, we can start working on taking off. This should be about a 17, I believe. And for some reason, I guess the guy that did the coilovers the last time, or the suspension, he didn't put the bolt back on here, which is kind of crazy. So I'm gonna have to get a replacement bolt for that. If you're taking off this sway bar link back here to loosen up this bolt, there is, if you look behind the bracket, where you can actually put a wrench on that boot nut back there, so you can loosen up this bolt if it's just spinning in there. So behind here is a 14 millimeter. If you can look back there, it's a 14 millimeter back here. And that'll hold that in place, and then you can loosen up this nut here. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna break off this nut here. This is a 17 millimeter. And then we have one more at the bottom here. Right down here. gonna loosen up these 3 bolts. These should be 15 millimeters. Finally have it out. All right, so guys, these are the comparison. So this is gonna have to be split a little bit. I'm gonna have to open this up because as you can see towards the bottom, this is a narrow and it slips right on. This one's a little bit more wide. So I am gonna have to open this up, pry this open just to get this in there. So since this is not gonna be a clean fit here, I have to stretch and pry this open here. So this is for the front coilovers that we have. So I'm gonna take the bottom piece of this off and make it easier so I don't have to carry a heavy coilover around and do this. Just spin this little bottom piece off. Okay, put that to the side. And you see how the stock, it's not fitting in there. So I'm just gonna pry this just enough so I can get that slipped in there. Check. Still not enough, so we'll go some more. All right, so that finally fits. See how smooth that goes in there? Now, let me pull this back out. Now you see how this is a little groove in here? And where this groove, where the bolt goes through, you wanna make sure that is actually lined up with the bolt going through here, and it's going right in that groove across, so it can fit on that way. So, we're just gonna put the bolt in here. I'm gonna put this back on. Another thing to look at, since you were prying them away from each other, I was having a problem getting this bolt to go straight in there. The way you can tell, if you look closely here, you see how it has a little bit, the right side over here is a little bit higher than the other side. You'll never get that bolt in cleanly, so just make sure that's nice and level and even there so you can get that bolt in. So I'm gonna knock it down slightly with my hammer here. Just tap it slightly. So now I'm catching thread. Hopefully I didn't close it up enough where I have to open this back up again, but everything's now, it's nice and even if you look at it. All right, so we're making sure we're going in the right way here. And we'll just loosely tighten these up for right now, just in case we have to maneuver around. Now the other bolt that I had back here, it actually stripped out, so I went to Home Depot, got a 8 graded bolt, grade 8 bolt with a lock nut, a lock washer, and a nut on this side. Just something that, you know, I'm doing for right now until I do the suspension again when I do the all-wheel drive, something to hold it together. So all you have to do is just do everything in reverse and put all the bolts back where they belong. And once we get everything right, sitting down, we'll adjust the coilovers.
Today in the middle of the morning?
Yep.
the middle of the morning. Crazy. It wasn't supposed to rain in the middle of the morning. That's strange.
How is that? So it sits by itself?
Yeah.
So you don't have to hold it?
Yeah.
So your time's up? All right, so since my partner decides to stay out here, hold the light for 5 minutes, and then goes back inside to watch the Monster Truck show, because he some show was coming on, so he left me. So mainly this video is for the Spyder, for everybody out there that's trying to do coilovers in the Spyder. I did so much research after ordering the coilovers to figure out how do you get these coilovers in here. Like I was telling you guys and ladies, you can't reach the coilover from the trunk like all the coupes. Obviously the convertible mechanism is in the way. So the way that you have to do this, you actually have to have the convertible top open and then remove the rear seat, and then that's how you get to it. So first thing I'm gonna do, I have to give my car some juice. It's been sitting all winter and battery's dead. I have to see if this battery's even charging anymore, because I may have to replace it. I'm gonna be replacing a lot of things on the the convertible this summer, with cooling, different lines and everything like that. All right, so I'll tell you guys about that hole in a second. Funny story. Lost the juice. I gotta go back and turn it back on. Funny story, I was at one of my son's football games and I locked the keys in the car. I never normally lock the door, but that day at this different town that we were playing, had a football game at, I decided to lock the door, not realizing the key was actually still on the seat. So of course I don't like leaving my kid anywhere by himself, so I had to make it quick to go and get his water, and I couldn't get in the car. And when I saw that the key was still on the, that didn't sound too good. All right, so that's about what we need right now. I'm just gonna leave it like that. So anyway, I ended up having to go back to the car to get his water. And I'll show you guys. And I couldn't open the door, and I was like, where the hell are my keys? Checked my pockets, and the keys were right on the seat, right next to the water bottle. So, of course, I go to touch the door knob to see if I can get into the door, and the alarm starts going off. Everybody turns and looks at me. So they see the guy with the rag. They see the guy with the rag on that's not familiar in this in that town, and everybody's looking at me like, is this guy still in this car, this beautiful red car? So of course I panicked. So first thing I thought about was breaking the window, and I'm like, the window's a little bit more expensive to actually replace. So I ended up ripping it had like a little soft spot, so I just, first thing I could think about was just ripping through the rag top. So I ripped through the rag top and thinking, you know, this is gonna be about $100 to replace. So I ripped through the rag top, got the keys, turned everything off with the alarm, got the water bottle. At the end of the game, we already had the top dropped anyway, so I wasn't worried about, you know, driving home with rain, because it was gonna be a beautiful day. Go online, these tops are about $400 to $500. So my dumb mistake locking the keys in the car cost me $500. So for right now, this car is only gonna be sunny day only. Weather has to be right when this car is out, because this top is never going up unless we replace this. So anyway, let's get to it. So what you want to do, you want to remove this back part of the seat here. Oh, let's get in here. It's gonna be tight. So we're gonna remove that. All right, guys, so you see those? That's how you get to it. So those 2 bolts and then the one on the bottom, and that's it. So you're gonna have this convertible top, but it will have actually a little opening here. Alright everyone, so all the new coilovers are in, the old suspension is out. Of course, the first 3 came out beautiful. And then the last one I ran into a problem. I don't know what happened. Apparently I forgot to do a step, and all the weight from the car went down on the stock strut, and I actually had to cut this bad boy out. I didn't want to wrestle with it. I wiggled, I jerked around with it, and nothing was coming out, so I decided just to cut through it. Since I was replacing everything anyway, I just cut through it and replaced it. So anywho, I'm gonna just show you guys what the new coilovers look like. And I did have to replace some of the prior owner's bolts that he used on the lower forks and everything. I just didn't like the way that he used bolts that really didn't fit the car. So I don't know if he did a quick job or he was just throwing it back together, since the I guess he blew the motor and he was doing some stuff with the suspension but didn't finish it up. And I didn't notice it when I bought it, but once I did the suspension, I noticed all the bolts were a little off. So yeah, this is the front coilover. Everything looking nice. I didn't set any of the ride height. I'm just going off of how it was came through with the factory, and I made sure I tightened up all the lower columns here, just so everything's all nice and tight. So yeah, so next thing I'm gonna do before I mount the tires, since I haven't cleaned these rims in a while, they have a lot of brake dust and grime from last summer. I didn't get a chance to clean it off because I was really busy over the winter time. So I'm gonna give this a really quick rinse over, wipe down, and then I'm gonna mount the tires and show you guys what it looks like. So the rims are back on. In a moment of truth, I'm going to take the jack stands back out and see how low this bad boy is. First thing I got to do is straighten out the wheel a little bit. Alright everyone, so the car is back on the ground. Car is sitting really nice. I still want to go a little bit lower, but it's a good thing I do have coilovers, so I can just adjust everything. But it's sitting basically at the same height that my springs were at. I wanted to fill in this gap, so basically lower my fender down to just a little bit more. So I think I'm gonna lower this maybe about 2 inches in the front. I think 2 inches will be good, because I want the top part of the tread a little bit hidden here. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm probably about 1.5 inches, 2 inches in the front, and definitely gonna do about 1 inch in the back. Still got a little gap here, but it's not too much in the back. Yeah, I think I can go like about 1 inch lower on the back. That'll be good. So the fender will be right down to the top of the tape measure. I think that'll be good. So about 1.5 inches in the back and 2 inches in the front. Not gonna do it right now. I'm just gonna ride it, let the suspension settle a little bit, just in case it settles and it gets a little bit lower. So I'm gonna drive it, and yeah. So everything's in, everything going. We got a lot of packages. More packages came in today too. So thank you again for watching MG Meaningful Garage. We're gonna get all these cars going for this summer, and hopefully I can see some of you guys at the car shows or at the track, and we can hook up and just talk cars and talk about life and everything like that. So thanks again for watching another episode, and always love and peace.